Hi everybody, welcome back to Marie's Kitchen. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're making cherry pie pops, and these are, first of all, completely adorable. They're also so easy to serve and share. You can just set them on a platter, everybody can grab one. There's no need to cut and serve a big pie. I'm also going to give you some make-ahead options for the filling, the crust, and the pies themselves, so you can put them in the freezer, and then when you need some, you can throw them in the air fryer or the oven, and they are ready to enjoy. I can't wait to share these with you. Let's get started. All right, first up are some cherries, and I'm actually using frozen cherries just because it's so easy. These are sweet cherries, and it's about a half a pound or 1.5 cups, and this is gonna make 8 little pie pops. You can certainly double it if you want more. So we've got about 1.5 cups of frozen cherries. You can certainly use fresh cherries as well. You'll just make sure they're pitted, throw them in the pan like we have here. You can also use other berries, strawberries, blueberries, mixed berries. I have all those on my channel if you want to check those out, but it's really about the same measurements for all of them. Next is 1 tablespoon butter. And then I have 1 tablespoon of packed brown sugar. You can certainly use a little less if your cherries are really sweet or if you just don't want, the filling is sweet. Now we'll add a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and optional, I'm gonna add a little splash of almond extract. I love the almond extract and vanilla together. I think it's gonna be really good with the cherries. Now we'll add about 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And then let's head over to the stove. All right, we'll turn the heat to about medium high, and then just give this a stir. I love using frozen fruit because it's just so convenient, and also if cherries aren't in season and you want to make these, you can still make them using frozen cherries. We'll just cook off the juice so it gets to that nice, really thick, kind of jammy texture. It does take about 10 to 15 minutes total, and about halfway through we're going to mash the berries, and that will help break them up and again release more juices and make this thick texture. You do want to watch it and stir fairly frequently just to make sure it doesn't burn. You can see here it is starting to bubble, and that's exactly what we want. We're just cooking off that extra liquid. We're concentrating the flavors and thickening the juice. Okay, it's really bubbling here, so we want to make sure we give it a stir so nothing burns. But you can see how it's getting nice and thick here. It's getting a lot thicker than when we started, at least. At this point, we can go ahead and mash some of the berries. The reason we want to do that is so that we can, scoop up some and put it in a little pie as a filling, so you don't want to have whole cherries. So I'm going to get my potato masher, here it is, and then very carefully just gently mash these cherries, and that works to break them up a little bit. As I was making these yesterday and mashing them, I did find a few pits, so that's also another good reason to mash them, is you can make sure you get all the pits out, because you definitely don't want that in your hand pie. I had a lot of people ask if they want to make an apple filling. Is it the same technique? It's very similar, but a little bit different. So if you hop over to my apple ham pies recipe, I can put a link in the description box below and a link to the recipe. You can see how I do that. It's just a little bit different. You'll need to dice the apples before and some other things. Okay, this is getting nice and thick. You can see it's almost like a jam, and oh my goodness. There's the parrot. Hey, Goo Goo. That's her nickname, so she says it a lot. She says, hey, Goo Goo. We have an African gray parrot named Gracie, and she is in the other room, but she sure likes to make noise. Okay, that looks great. This is nice and thick. So we'll go ahead and turn that off. All right, here we have our filling. I'm gonna move it to just sort of a flat bowl, or you could use a pie plate. Basically, you just want something where you can kind of spread the filling out so it'll cool more quickly. So I'm gonna spread it out, and that'll help it cool a little faster. She is hilarious. She is quite a chatty Kathy. All right, I'm throwing this in the refrigerator to cool, and then we'll start on the crust. For the crust, I am going to use a Trader Joe's pie crust. I love to use homemade crust as well. If you'd like to see some videos on homemade crust, I have tons on my channel. And for my most recent vodka baking powder pie crust, check out my blueberry hand pie video. That one shows you how to make a vodka baking powder pie crust, and specifically for these like mini pies. These Trader Joe crusts never come out flat despite being completely thawed. So don't worry, all you have to do is bring it back together. And I've got some flour here. We'll throw some flour on my mat, and then we're just gonna bring this into a round disc shape, and we'll just start over. We'll just roll it out. But still the crust is made, so it just makes it a little quicker. Okay, this looks good. You don't want to overwork it, but just bring it back together into a disc. Then we'll put a little flour on our rolling pin, just to make sure it doesn't stick. And then we're gonna roll this out into about a 12-inch circle. And you do want to turn the crust after every roll or two. That'll help you keep it in a nice round shape and have a fairly even thickness. And it also helps with sticking. If you're turning the crust, you know it's not sticking to your counter or mat. I could do this all day. It just so relaxes me. I was so overwhelmed today, but once I get rolling, the stress just disappears. Now I have about a 2.5-inch biscuit cutter. They remind me of my grandmother. She always made buttermilk biscuits, and so she always had a biscuit cutter. So I do have a set of these. If you don't have one, you can find something in your house that is a similar size that's obviously bigger, but you can probably find something around your kitchen that is about this size and just a straight flat edge there. Now we're going to cut about 16 circles out of this 12-inch round. Now I have all the circles cut out. We have about 16, and I'm going to put these in the refrigerator to chill while we get out our filling and get everything else ready. You can do this ahead, so you just want to cover this with plastic wrap, and you could put it in the freezer a day or two before, and then when you're ready to make them, pull them out. Same thing for the filling. You can store that in the freezer, a month or two, and then when you're ready to use it, just defrost in the fridge overnight. Okay, now we have our chilled cherry filling, our chilled crust cutouts, and now we'll make a quick egg wash. If you don't want to use egg or don't have egg around, you can use heavy cream or even water. We'll add about 2 tablespoons water to that just to thin it out a little bit and give it a good whisk. Now we can make our pies. We'll just take a bottom crust, then we'll need a kind of a heaping teaspoon of the cherry filling. You really don't want to overfill these, and I just use a clean finger to wipe some egg wash around the edges. Then we'll take our second crust and set that on top, and then you kind of want to shape it around that cherry filling so it looks a little bit like a hat. And then to seal it and also make a decorative edge, we're going to use the tines of a fork around like this. We'll just press it right down, not too hard, just press them together. You don't want to make a hole in the crust, so you're just pressing them together to seal it, kind of a gentle press, like that. And now we'll do the rest. Okay, we have all the little pies done. Don't they look adorable? Now you can wrap this up in some plastic wrap and put these in the freezer if you like, and then take them out the next day and cook them. I'll have instructions for freezing the hand pies in my recipe. Also instructions for cooking it in both the air fryer and the oven. So you have lots of options here. I'll have the recipe below, and then also a link to the recipe where you can hop over to my website, completely ad-free, and there you can print out this recipe if you like. All right, so the next step is to add the egg wash. You can use some heavy cream or half and half for this as well. It won't get quite as glossy, The egg wash really makes it really kind of shiny and glossy. So it's definitely my favorite, but in a pinch or if you're in a hurry, you can just brush with some heavy cream or half and half. What I've found with these little hand pies is as long as you don't have a lot of air between the crusts and you also you don't overfill it, you don't need to prick holes in the middle as you would on, an apple pie or like a chicken pot pie. You've always got to poke some holes in the middle to let the steam release as the food cooks. But here, since we have the filling already cooked, it's not really moving and it's not releasing a lot of steam. We've already done that on the stove. And there's not a lot of, like a big air pocket in there that's gonna wanna push out. So fortunately, you don't have to prick or cut holes in the center. Now, we'll use the air fryer to cook these. I'm gonna set it, oh my gosh, there's the parrot. She imitates the air fryer beeps. It's hilarious. She'll probably keep doing it while we do this. So listen, oh, there she is again. This is an Instant Pot Vortex air fryer, 6-quart. I really love it. I'll put a link in the description box below and I'll also tag it in the video if you want to check it out. If you've been thinking about getting an air fryer, I do highly recommend it. I've had probably 6 air fryers over the past several years, and this is definitely my favorite. It's so quiet yet still really strong and does a great job. We'll take out our basket. You can see it's like this. All the baskets are a little bit different, but generally like this. They'll have something in the bottom that kind of suspends the food so air can circulate around it. That's really what an air fryer is. It's just a mini convection oven that just sends air around your food so it gets nice and crispy and cooks really well, as if you were frying it, but of course with no to little, or a lot less oil. So for the pies, you just set them right in there. Now these go back in the air fryer. We'll push air fry, set the time to 10 minutes. If you're cooking from frozen, it's about 12 minutes. And the temperature is 350 degrees, so we'll leave that there and start. All right, I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Okay, the pies are done. They look wonderful. Look how nice and golden they are. They cooked up so well. I really do love the air fryer for these little mini pies. Now I'm gonna use a plastic spatula to get the pies out. Just don't wanna nick the bottom of the air fryer because it is nonstick. There we have our 8 little pies, and you could serve these just as little pie bites like this. I mean, that's wonderful as well. Or if you want, we are gonna add a glaze once they cool completely. And then we have our little treat sticks here. We can put those in and turn them into our pie pops. Okay, I'm gonna set these aside to cool. And then real quick, I'll show you how to make the glaze. I just have 1/2 cup powdered sugar. Then we'll add about 1 tablespoon milk. And if you like, you can add a little vanilla or almond extract and then just stir this up, and it makes a really nice glaze. Okay, that looks great. You want it pretty thick. Now these are cool enough to add the glaze. I'm gonna use a little Ziploc bag and we'll just cut off the tiniest little corner here. Okay, there we go. And that just cuts a little tiny little hole in the bag. And then we can add our glaze. And then we'll just drizzle that on our little pies here. So cute. Now we'll let the glaze dry, and I'll show you on some I made yesterday how to add the little treat stick if you want to make a pie pop. So it's really simple. Just have a bag of little sticks like for cake pops or something from Michael's, and then you just take one of your little pies and find kind of a thick part of the crust and then just gently kind of press that in there like that. And there you have your cherry pie pop. Now you can set these out and people can just grab one and go. It's so easy. Here I used a little bag that I had and tied it around the pie pop like this with a bow. I thought these would be so cute for favors. You could put a little sticker on it, but either gifts or favors at like a wedding shower or baby shower. So many fun ways to play with these. I can't wait for you to try them. I've got to try one now. Let's see. Okay. So good. That filling is just right, not too sweet. You get a little bite of cherry there in the middle and the glaze on top. I love these and I can't wait for you to try them. For this recipe and more, head over to my website, marieseba.com. There you can go and print out this recipe and all my recipes. And if you like, put them in a notebook and make your very own Marie's Kitchen cookbook for free. Also, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, if you might try these, or if you have any questions, leave those below. Or if you have requests, I always love to hear from viewers. So leave me a comment below and be sure to also subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button for notifications. So every time I post a new video, you'll be notified and you won't miss it. I have lots more videos coming out and I'm really excited for you to see them. My goal is to give you some really easy recipes that turn out great every time so you can build some confidence in the kitchen and feel really inspired to share good food with people that you love. From my kitchen to yours. Thank you.